Alright, well, our next episode is called Data's Day. It's episode number 85 of Star Trek The Next Generation. It originally aired on January 7th, 1991. It was written by Harold Apter and Ronald D. Moore, and directed by Robert Weimer. Now, for this episode, Data makes a complete report of all his activities in a single day. Now, Data will forward the report with additional comments to Bruce Maddox to assist him in his artificial intelligence research. Maddox, as you may remember, first appeared in The Measure of a Man, that great second season episode where Maddox was trying to prove that Data was merely a machine. Now, two main plots dominate the show. First, Transporter Chief O'Brien's wedding is scheduled for this day, and since Data originally introduced the couple, he will participate as the father of the bride. Now, typical wedding day jitters by Keiko interrupt the schedule, and eventually everything returns to normal and the wedding proceeds, but along the way, Data asks Dr. Crusher to teach him to dance. Now, after receiving a full lesson in tap dancing, Data informs Dr. Crusher that he is ready for the wedding. Well, once Crusher realizes the reason Data wants to learn to dance, she changes her tactics and teaches him ballroom dancing instead. Now, the second major plot involves around Vulcan Ambassador T'Pel. The Enterprise takes her to Neutral Zone to rendezvous with a Romulan vessel, and she claims the Romulans want to initiate a dialogue with the Federation. But when T'Pel beams over, a sudden transporter malfunction seems to kill her. Now, the Enterprise leaves the Neutral Zone and begins to investigate what happened. But it finally uncovers the truth, and the Romulans beam T'Pel off the Enterprise transporter pad at the same time O'Brien energized. So Picard races back to rescue T'Pel from the Romulan ship, only to find out that she is a Romulan spy. So the appearance of several Romulan ships convinces Picard to leave the Neutral Zone, and those are the two plots of this episode, and that is the end of the episode. Now, this is definitely one of the most unique episodes, just in the way it's structured, and it was actually an idea that was left over from the third season, and they really just didn't know how to complete it in the third season until they got to the fourth and finally had a good idea. They wanted to do a day-in-the-life episode from somebody, but it wasn't clear who it was, and they felt like Data could give the most unique flavor to it by him being the focus of the show. And it really is interesting because this entire episode is from his perspective. Even the second plot that involves Ambassador T'Pel, it's all from what Data sees of this. Now, originally, the plan was to have Chief O'Brien get married to somebody who was going to replace Wesley Crusher. Now, Wesley Crusher left the show after Final Mission, and the thought was to have a female con officer who would then get romantically entangled with Chief O'Brien, but that was ultimately rejected because they felt like O'Brien was such a strong character that all they would use him for from that point on would just be somebody to talk to this new person on the bridge who would become the focus and not O'Brien. And they felt like Colm Meaney's work had been really great so far and they wanted to do more with him. So instead they went for somebody who was a new supporting player, and that is Keiko, who is played by Rosalind Chow, and she is the ship's botanist. And obviously their relationship is something that really is carried over for the rest of this particular version of the Star Trek, and then into Deep Space Nine, and we get to see a lot more of that. So this is where it all starts, from right here too. Now, this is an episode that has a lot of great moments in it, a lot of little vignettes, which I really like. We learn a little bit about Dr. Crusher, and she was, before she was on the Enterprise, she was known as the Dancing Doctor because of her expertise in tap dancing, and she helps Data out there, only to find out that Data needs to learn how to dance for a wedding, and they have to completely change the routine because even though Dr. Crusher doesn't know exactly why, you don't do a lot of tap dancing during weddings. Now we also get to see the first appearance of Spot, Data's cat, who also makes repeated appearances later on. And what's interesting about this first episode where we see Spot is that he is a male cat. And later on, somehow Spot changes genders and later has kittens. So that's kind of, I don't know if it would be an oversight, but something that the writers hoped that viewers would not pick up on, obviously. So in this one, he Spot's a male, and later on becomes a female. And it's very interesting that really only Data's the one who gets along with this cat. Especially we learn in later episodes that Commander Riker is not much of a fan. So this is the first episode where we get to see Spot. I thought it was interesting that they pick up on Data's interaction with Commander Maddox, and Commander Maddox was kind of the villain, quote-unquote, in the second season episode, Measure of a Man, as he was trying to take Data away from the Enterprise and do his own work on him because he just considered him a machine. And once that was resolved, Data is actually trying to help him with his work on artificial life forms. So that's interesting that they brought him back. Kind of that little element there is what is part of the whole fourth season where they're trying to bring back characters, even though we don't actually see Commander Maddox on screen for this episode. I also thought the second plot with Ambassador T'Pel was very clever, and Data's ability to figure out that she's up to something. When she asked Data about the Enterprise's defenses, he immediately suspects that there's something going on, although at first he dismisses it because Vulcans aren't able to lie. But later learns, yep, there is something up, and he discovers what really happened with that transporter, that she was not really killed. We also see at the very end of this episode a baby being born. Well, we don't see the actual birth, but we see Picard visiting the baby at the end, and Data gets to watch that. So that's kind of a unique ending to an episode, too. So lots of little moments, not big things here. I guess the only other thing to comment on, really, is Data's interaction with Miles and Keiko, and how much we can identify with a lover's quarrel, in a sense, where sometimes friends often try to step in to help their friend, but Troy gives Data that the best advice is to not get involved, and that it's something that they need to work out on their own. So I thought that was something that really everybody can really identify with, and Data is learning that for the first time in another aspect of what it means to be human. So that's all my thoughts on this. Comment below on what you thought about this episode. I really liked it for its uniqueness and the chance to look at the everyday goings-on of the ship. And I definitely recommend this episode. I'm anxious to hear what you think, and I will talk to you guys later.